or solving problems is about something called, how am I starting this? What am I talking about? Buying motives. Yeah. So with my first book coming out in December this year, although I don't go into the depth of buying motives and truly how our customers buy and how we make decisions, what I do touch on a little bit is the weighting of how decisions are made for customers or in general life. And what I wanted to quickly do was demonstrate on a bit of paper here really the simplicity, but also the layers that come in to how we make decisions on day-to-day life, but also how you can factor the same into your sales conversations. And I think it's important to think about this from the perspective of answering a question of what's in it for your customer. And the reason I say it like that is that a lot of people go into a sales conversation and they almost ask, well, what's in this for me? And the whole time, your customer is actually thinking the same thing. They're thinking, I'm listening to what's being said, but I'm struggling to put the connecting dots of really what's the point of what you're trying to say and how does it benefit me? And I want to lay out over the next few minutes some really simple tips, tricks that you can use and think about when it comes to selling. So we'll jump right in, get the GoPro over. We'll draw something on this bit of paper here. Before I move into that, one thing I want you to think about is that pretty much 85% of all decisions that we make when it comes to buying something new or solving problems is about something called loss aversion, right? Which is essentially, how do I keep what I've got? And that's what a lot of people fail to understand when it comes to selling. 85% of all decisions that we make are usually to either keep what I've currently got or not lose anything less than that. And a lot of people put this down to problem solving or solving pains, but really it's actually under the bracket of loss aversion. We're looking to basically nurture and keep what we've got, or we're looking to prevent any more loss of something. So I'm going to quickly explain it on this bit of paper, and then hopefully it starts to make a bit more sense for you. So, quick diagram for you, just to make it a little bit more interesting and help explain really this kind of theory of how people make decisions. So if you imagine this as a sliding scale of decisions, right? This is loss, this is gain, right? So gain, loss. Cool. So essentially, most people, when they sell, they're leaning into this category here. So they're appealing to a part of the brain of trying to get someone to buy something new. And an example of this will be is, hey, do you want to buy this new feature? Or hey, do you want to buy this new car? And what really we need to be thinking about is, what are they trying to keep that's either at jeopardy of keeping, or they're not keeping anything at all. So either they're losing something or they're about to lose something. And how do we focus 85% of our decisions over here, or our conversation over here? And one of the ways that you do that, right, is hope versus fear selling, right? And you've only got two emotions really to work with when it comes to sales. If you've got the hope of what you want to keep or lose, or you've got the fear of what happens if this happens, right? So if you've got hope of what do you want the future to look like, or you've got what are you going to do if this happens. Now, this predominantly is the best way to sell, right? It's not the most ethical, but this is the best way to sell, because you could basically say, hey, if this happens, how are you going to deal with it? And they go, I don't know. And then that's where you can insert solution. The downside of this, right, is that because people buy with emotion, right? They buy with emotion, but then they justify, yeah, with logic. So what does this mean? If people buy with emotion, which is hope versus fear, but they justify after with the rationale or the logic behind it, money, time, income, ROI, whatever, insert other number, right? This is where usually people lose a sale, because the emotion is the fear. The emotion is, well, what are you going to do if? And they buy on that. But in their brain after, they don't feel good about it. And the logic then comes in, and they can't rationalize in their brain really how they sell or why they sell it to themselves after. And when they go home to their partner, they go to a business meeting and they try and justify it, they can't, because there's emotion there, but they haven't got the logic, the rationale behind it. So this is how you truly sell, or this is another way to think about sales if you really, really want to. What you need to firstly do is understand what is the 85% that they're focusing on, right? You don't want to ever really talk to anyone about gaining anything new, because at this stage, unless they trust you with their life, which, let's be honest, most people don't, all they want to do is prevent losing what they've currently got, or any more than they're currently losing. So all you want to do with your sales to get very, very good at sales is build the trust, because everything is about trust and results, right? Trust and results. By the way, I completely cover this in my new book. Little shameless plug there. Everything is about trust and results. And what you need to do is with your sales is get to the point where someone trusts to share with you what's the 85% that they're trying to keep hold of, right? What is the things they're working on that has got their attention at the moment? And this is where you want your sales conversations to go. Never talk to people about buying something new, right? You don't ever lead with, well, look at this new product or look at this new service or anything like that, because new, right, is going to get overshadowed by what they're currently focusing on. So all your conversation wants to move around into this focus right here. And so how do you do that? Is you do two things, right? Flip this over real quick and show you. You do two things. The first thing you do is you research. Okay? You research. And so what researching is basically getting a clear, really clear picture of who your customer is or prospect is before you speak to them. And in the second stage is you validate, right? Really simple. So basically, you do your research and then you understand who this person is before you speak to them. You get a really clear picture of who they are. Then, when you make the call or you have the meeting, so call or meeting, yeah, you basically validate the research you've just done to make sure that you're accurate. And if you don't, what you do is you do more research, but you do this with them on the call, right? So you might be thinking, it sounds like you shared a lot, but I don't really know what you've just done this video about, or you're struggling to put these two pieces together. There's theory to sales, which is this right here. The theory of sales is really, really simple. It's hard to master, but it's really simple, right? 85% of all decisions are based upon keeping what you've currently got or avoiding any more loss, right? What do I loss? In fact, I might do it straight after this video. 85% of all your conversation needs to be, what are you trying to keep or what are you trying to prevent less loss of, right? 15% of decisions are around getting something new. Very hard to sell here and keep the sale here. How you do this, right, is you lean on trust and results. You need to build trust first for them to tell you what the 85% is. And then you need to know that you can actually achieve the result. And this here is how you understand the results. You do your research before a call. Your call is to validate. And by the way, sorry, I should have said at the start, this is for new business and account management. This is for both. Plus, AM, account management. Yeah. So you do your research before. Hey, I've done a bit of research about you. I think I've got a pretty clear idea of who you are, what you're about. Could you just help me understand a little bit more about this? Because I want to see, if at all, where we might be able to slot in as a solution or an outcome that might be of use to you. And then once you've validated, you then do some research. So then you then go into sales 101, which is discovery questions. Yeah, another video on that in a minute or another time. But then you move into discovery questions, and then all you're doing is you're researching again, and then you're validating. By the way, validation comes into a few categories. Quickly finish on this. So validation is really two things. It's acknowledgement, acknowledge, right? There you go. Might be able to spell it in a minute. So you acknowledge what they've said. Hey, it sounds to me like words like that. Hey, could you just confirm if I've got this right? So you acknowledge, and then this is what Andrew Plunkett taught me. You need the metrics. You need the numbers. You need to know how much it hurts. Metric. So once you've got a validation or a pain or insert problem, right? You need to acknowledge it. Hey, it sounds to me like you're experiencing this. Is that right? And then you need to find a metric, right? You need a number to a pain that makes the pain real, right? The minute you've got a number, the minute you find out how much something is hurting someone, financially, loss of opportunity, lack of growth, whatever, time, the big one, then you can start to position your solution. And then what you do your research. And you go back to your research. and you start asking probing discovery questions to understand why those metrics matter to them. Hopefully this is helpful. I'll just jump back into the other video. So, So, short video on the theory behind why people buy the way they buy and how they buy. In addition to that, 2 really simple steps on the research phase, and then you need to validate, right? Well, I've put valid here, but we need to validate it. And the reason that a lot of people kind of miss these 2 main stages is because sales is incentivized annoyingly in the wrong way. We incentivize based upon an outcome. So we pay commission to people based upon how much they sell of something, which is it's the right way of doing it. It's a good way of doing it, but there are significantly better ways of incentivizing people. But the downside is it incentivizes the wrong behavior. We incentivize us as salespeople trying to get an outcome, whereas what I think we need to encourage people to lean towards when it comes to training and to sales and to incentivize different behaviors is achieving outcomes. We should get paid on the back, really, of the outcome a customer gets, and then they refer, and there's a whole new conversation around it. But to summarize this video for you, there's 2 main things to really take away. The first thing is the theory that goes into sales, which is the 85%. Really, really valid, kind of bit of research around this. Hope versus fear selling. What you're looking to do is lean on hope for 85% of the conversation. I would avoid fear if you can. Fear is things like, hey, 2 o'clock in the morning, burglar breaks in, what are you going to do, right? It's a theoretical question designed to induce fear and all these things. But the downside is you'll get an emotional buy-in. How are you going to protect your children? Someone might say something quite manipulative like that. And you're going to get an emotional reaction, but it's going to feel dirty. Whereas really what you want to do is lean on hope. And hope is really simple of like, what would the dream security look like for your house? What's led to this decision? What would it mean to you to trust somebody with that? When have you trusted someone like this before? What's gone right? What's gone wrong? Because what I want to make sure is that if we do promise you anything when it comes to security for your property, for your business, whatever, insert reference, I want to make sure that trust is never lost. So let's start there. And that's how you sell on hope. But 85% of the conversation needs to be around leaning on, well, what are you trying to keep currently at the moment, and what are you trying to avoid the loss of? And then you move into this part, which was the research and the validate. I spelled it wrong, whatever, right? And your research is both before the call, before the meeting, and you're doing your research around this people, the company, the product, and I've done tons of videos on that. I've just released a free series on that. Go and find it. It's on YouTube, on our Discover Phenomenal YouTube. So you do your research before, and then on my call or my meeting, I'm looking to validate or valid in this instance my learning. So hopefully this has been kind of helpful for you. Short, couple of minute video. Thank you a million times over for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for your time. Take care.